The topic of my lecture is Smile curve and TRL level. I'm happy that during the question answers time of Ashutosh Bagre, Abhay Kharkar has tried to talk to people about some TRL level, and maybe I think that was what exactly is very well known to most of the people, hopefully. But I'm going to look at it from a very different angle. In the sense, the TRL level is very famous, so-called the terminology, which is actually coined by the NASA people. But then it's very difficult also to understand, very difficult to implement, and very difficult to rather use in practice. So let me talk it in a systematic way, the way I understood it. Secondly, in our GAN course, we are focusing more towards the what is called as the startup and sustainability and scalability. So it needs to be linked properly to that. Then only the thing will move in a proper direction. Actually, I'm supposed to know your background also. Many of the participants I'm aware of, but those who have joined first time in this course, or those who are actually coming to NIT for the first time, I wish to know from them what is their background. Because I must appreciate, I must congratulate all of you for joining this GAN course where you are more focused towards the startup ecosystem. Let me tell you the things what our director has said, that it is like you people will be the job creator, or they call it the job giver, whatever it is, but it is generally called a job creator. But I think, does it mean that we'll be only focusing on the job creator and there should not be any job seekers? Remember here, only because of the job seekers there will be job creator. And we do want job seekers. If more and more job seekers are there, I think this problem of startup will be definitely taken up very seriously, and hopefully that will lead to the development of any country. Okay, so if you look at the India, where the population is tremendously high as far as the educated people are concerned, so job seekers are more, and therefore we are talking more about this so-called startup, because the startup world. But does it mean that the startup system is going to solve this problem, or just looking at it or going through that is going to solve the problem? That's what exactly we want to look at. And as I already told you, like after every lecture we had a half an hour break where we are supposed to discuss more, where we should interact more. So it is as good as 1.5 hours lecture. And we do want everybody at peace while going or while learning through these particular lectures which will be imparted. So I'm sorry, I'll have to use it. Okay, yeah. So this is our CAD center, which we'll be visiting very soon, between 4 to 5. And you will also come to know our efforts towards it, especially in medical domain, what exactly we are trying our best. And it will be quite interesting for me to tell you also that we do have a lot of constraints whenever we would like to upgrade ourselves, or whenever we would like to scale ourselves. And therefore, I think nowadays they talk about a concept called frugal engineering. That means within the limited resources, how much you can deliver. So we are always looking at it from that aspect, rather than calling bad names to the system and saying that this is not available, that's not available, and therefore we are not in a position to do anything. So I think that approach is very important for all of you to do. Whatever the resources available with you, how best you can use it, I think that is very important. And maybe if you can show to the world that within the limited resources, see how you deliver this much, I think you are on the right path. Don't be under the wrong impression that because you have not the sufficient resources with you, therefore you could not achieve anything. Everybody would like to know within their constraint how much you have achieved, and therefore we'll have to take this particular medical devices startup or in general the startup ecosystem very very carefully. Okay. Now agenda for my today's lecture is like what introduction. Then I have written the second one as a startup is a word with a question mark, like why that startup or why we are focusing on that. Number 3, the TRL. Fourth one is smile curve, and then finally the conclusion. It will be quite interesting for me to complete the whole lecture as fast as I can, so that you can also get more of the gist of the same. But it will be more interesting if we can discuss more, if we can interact more, if you query more and more on that. And whatever comes to your mind, I think that's what exactly we are supposed to look at. And as I already told you, I'm impressed that you people are taken interest in joining this particular course. Okay, introduction part, this is our CAD/CAM center. If you look at our CAD/CAM center, we do have a state-of-the-art machineries, and ultimately we have tried our best to build this CAD/CAM center with the state-of-the-art machinery. But let me tell you an interesting thing here, that you may find in some of the institutes machines better than what we have here. Or maybe some people will say, okay, this is also with me, and this particular thing we can also use it. And for example, CNC machines, you can see there, you can see the CNC machines and all that. So okay, this is all is there in that institute, this institute, and all that. That doesn't matter, frankly speaking. What matters is that whenever you have any machinery, you may call it a state-of-the-art machinery, what exactly you have achieved using that machinery, that is important. So for example, if you look at the top of the figure, I'm sorry that I don't have the pointer at this moment, but if you look at that biplot or 3D biplot, or if you look at the 3D printing machines which I have shown it here, or maybe the induction furnace there and all that, I'll be more happy to show you whenever we'll be visiting the NIT, this CAD/CAM center between 4 to 5, what we have achieved using this, and how the word which we call as a deployment, which is very very important, how we have deployed it by using that particular machine. I think that is interesting for all of us to look at, and that's what exactly I'm going to do. So again, the second interesting point to tell you, that whatever the machineries you have in your institute or you will be having for your disposal, try to see that how best you can use it, rather than thinking that which one is better than that, and then if we have that machine or this one is better and all that. I think that makes no sense. Nobody is going to look at that. Nobody is going to evaluate based on that. So you may say that I do have a simple 3D printer, the way I have shown it here, the U-print, and then with that U-print, what exactly we have done. I think it will be more interesting for others, and that's what we generally call as a success story. So remember here that hence onward, maybe in the last GAM period, GAM lecture, I used to talk more of her deployment every now and then for the research. Here I think it will be more interesting if we talk about more and more success story. That means, what exactly the success story is, that whatever you have done with these instrumentations that you have at your disposal, how the people in the so-called society got benefit, and you have made a story of that, which we call as a success story. Remember here, when you have a success story with you, the common man, I don't mean to say common man who is not learned, but the common man in general who is educated, he will get attracted towards your work. He will get attracted towards, oh, this is what you have done. Rather than telling him n number of so-called research-oriented approach, more of a mathematical approach, more of a use of the software approach, or more about discussing about the software, all this will lead to more problematic. Nobody is going to get attracted towards you. And that's what exactly is important when you talk about the startup. Whatever you do, the common man should be in a position to find interest in your work, and that's what exactly I told when I have discussed with the Ashutosh, that the ultimately it is the finance which is important, and finance will be possible to raise only the common man who is getting attracted towards your work, and that's what they generally talk about, that the people to whom we call as the angels or to whom we call as the venture capitalists, those who are having a lot of money. That's what they say, but I told you again in that way, they even get the loans to fund you. They will be always looking at it from this particular aspect, what are the success story of your work. And therefore, if at all we want to enter into the startup domain and to see that it is sustained and scalable, you will have to develop more and more success stories. Success stories will be only possible if you actually go through the whatever the limited resources you have, and ultimately the common man is looking at your success. Okay, now this is the slide which I always used to show to the student, and I told you that we have opened the doors of educations to many people, but ultimately the livelihood, whether we are taking care of that, it means more and more people are getting educated, and the livelihood of the is not possible. That's what I asked last one. Does it mean focusing only on the education will take the care of livelihood? Answers will be no. We will always say no. So remember here what is important. Like if you look at this particular figure, we are going quite ahead in education, but ultimately in livelihood we are falling behind. Straightforward, what we mean to say by livelihood? By generating the so-called jobs. Are you in a position to generate the jobs befitting the education of the educated people? If this question is asked to you, your answer will be no. Everybody has got the degree, but he is not actually getting the livelihood based on that particular education. He has to either serve in a lower position, or maybe he is serving in some other different field in which he is not having any, in which he has not got any education. So this thing will be always there, and that's what we always say. If that is the case, then that leads to underemployment. And even I told director the same thing. It is the problem of underemployment. That is what we are facing. In India, there is nothing like an unemployment. Nowhere it is like an unemployment. Nobody will be unemployed. Something somebody will do. But underemployment is dangerous. Why? The reason is very simple. Like there are more educated people, they are all underemployed, then they will create a problem in the society, saying that education is of no use. I have got this much of education, but see the way I am working. And therefore the people in the next generation, or maybe the people next to you, they will also feel, why should I get educated? And this is what exactly is very important. Let me tell you an interesting thing here quickly, that while I was in Gujarat for some work, my driver said, sir, we don't get ourselves educated. I said, you don't get educated? He said, no, it's of no use. My car driving is very good. I have purchased 9 cars after driving this car. Whether the person who got educated will be in a position to get that. So remember here, this type of an ecosystem or this type of the system gets suppose built, then naturally this will actually very problematic in long run. Because if education is not there, then ultimately you will not be in a position to compete with the world, and that's our so-called ultimate aim of getting developed country status will not be possible for us to do that. So therefore this is important. So let me tell you again here that what exactly we mean by the education, what exactly we should focus at. So there I said that, as I mentioned, the manufacturing industry has to be customer centric. Yes, it has to be, and therefore focus only on the customer. And if you are focusing on a customer, customer will demand more and more things from you. Okay, and that is what is the research. So whatever the product you are going to manufacture or you are going to start in your startup and you want to deploy it, the customer will go on asking you n number of questions, n number of things, wherein he wants more and more comfort, and that is the progress. More and more progress demanded by the customer will help us to do some research in that to meet his so-called demand, and that's why the research and innovation plays a dominant role. And maybe we say that if it is to be executed, We need to focus on the high knowledge, that is the research. Again, now coming back to the same thing, the way I told you, like education is important. Only through education this research is possible, and ultimately you are going to serve the customer. Interesting point here is that what exactly you mean, it means that we want the innovative tailor-made product is the need of an hour. And see here, as I have mentioned, tailor-made, that means as demanded by the customer. So customer will demand a product which suits to him, which gives more comfort to him. I think we have already given the bottles to all the people. Okay, water bottle, can you give me that? Yeah, great. So now this is a bottle which is given to you, all of you. Hopefully you are enjoying water through this. Now this bottle, if at all I say that I want to see that it is properly held, it should not fall somewhere. So to grip this bottle, if I say that you have created some grooves matching with the anatomy of my finger, and that becomes the customized product because that is matching with your anatomy, I think that is sellable. Sellable to whom? To that customer. So ultimately, what you want some more research in that, how to create that particular slots so that these slots will be perfectly matched with my fingers and I will be firmly gripping this particular bottle. A simple example. But remember here, when you actually talk about this means you want to enter into innovative tailor-made product, and if it is the case, we are going to manufacture that. Who is going to manufacture it? Is it the large scale industry? Like the Tatas and Birlas are going to manufacture that? No, because we call them as the big players. Big players always work on what is called as the mass production. So if you now this particular product is required only for once, or for a particular customer, so we may say that it is a big no for here. You cannot approach them. You can't say that okay, get this particular part manufactured. So ultimately, who is going to do that? Who will be the taking care of that? We call it as a startup, a small company, small industry, small unit, which will be taking care of your product, the one which you want. And then ultimately, you will find that these startup and big players, when you actually look into, then very nicely, this is what has been told by Nandan Nilekani in one of his interview during COVID. I have been asked, like, you think the future for India will be where more small players will also compete? The answer is straightforward, that as it is written in the red color, it is not about few companies creating millions of jobs, but millions of companies creating a few jobs. That will only solve the problem of so-called underemployment. Again, I am coming back to the underemployment, not unemployment. So what do you want? You want more and more startups. Everybody is creating few jobs. And if that is the scenario, then naturally the same thing will happen. Otherwise, you can't ask the big players like Tatas and Birlas that create millions of jobs every day, every year, because millions of engineers are coming out and millions of educated people are coming out of the institute. So ultimately, this thing needs to be properly taken care, in the sense that where we do have a statistics of the 2021 so-called economic survey, because getting a correct figure of every year is also very difficult. But it is mentioned that if you look at that, 4,70,000 jobs are created by more than 39,000 startups. So in India. So now here, this is the interesting figure. No company, big players can create so many jobs. But these people have created so many jobs. Question which is very important, and you may say million, trillion dollar, whatever it is. That means startup is the only survival. That's all. You can't think of the big players. You do simply saying that we do want some company which is manufacturing the mobile phones, Apple in India. So naturally, oh, we got the problem solved. No, big no. Some big companies coming here manufacturing the trucks or the motor cars. No, big no. It's not going to solve the problem. Who is going to solve the problem? Startup is going to solve the problem. And therefore, I think our title is very appropriate. We have to see that these startups are sustained, startups are scaled, and not to create a negative ecosystem, saying that startup is only failure, it's of no use and all that. you know, when I used to discuss with this particular startup issue system with many of my students, I used to say that I would like to call your parents in one of the class, and I would like to ask them whether would it be okay if he starts this startup rather than hunting for a good job. Let me see what is their views. So ultimately everything should start from there. Like even in the family also, everyone should say that okay, you start a system, start a startup, then only the thing will move. Otherwise, I don't know how many of you are you can answer it properly, but just go at home and say that you are going to start a company and tell me what your parents have said. If all parents said that that's wonderful, very nice thing, I think we are on the right path then. Then there is no need of such type of CAN courses at all. But just go and I think maybe tomorrow we can find out that. Just send it on our WhatsApp group that my parents said no, my parents said yes, my parents said yes, no, both. My parents said better get some employment and get married, and that's all finished, nothing more than that. So if I get the statistics saying that out of the 37 participants in our GAN course, if I say more than 50, like more than 15 or 20, if the parent says that okay, you must start your company and I'm with you and all that, I think we'll stop tomorrow itself, our GAN course. Okay, because that's what exactly we do want, and that's not happening. Why? Because the people are not properly nurtured, they are not properly mentored. I'm not talking about you, but the whole ecosystem. That is how the ecosystem is. Like in family, society, everywhere. Maybe I think you can just extend the same question to your not only the relatives, but the people who are staying near to your house, and just tell them that I want to start a company. How do you feel like that? And just tell me again that everybody said good, 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 you must do that, you must do that. I think that is not being built today, and it needs to be. Again, coming back to the same thing, as I already told you, like this is for our survival. Survival doesn't mean that the people will be now nobody will get anything and all that and everything is going to collapse. Survival means what? Again, going back to the self-system. What we say, our ultimate aim we have decided that we want to be Atmanirbhar, we want to be the developed country and all that. That means what exactly it is. We want our life to be very smooth. And I told maybe in one of my variety function in the last GAN program, how do you say that your country is progressing? It is only possible if you say that the people in the next generation, they will be comfortable. If I can say that the people in the next generations will be comfortable, because that is how we are progressing, their life will be more comfortable, I think there you are progressing there. Now what I feel, sometimes I feel that sometimes I have born earlier to you, then therefore I am comfortable. Otherwise there is a problem. See the problem what the other people are facing today and all that. The maybe simple traffic problem during our time is very no problem. Now here problem after problem, and maybe you say that after 5 years there will be no problem at all. I think then you are on the right path. So the next generation, if you feel that they will enjoy, then you are progressing, and that is what exactly is. That's what exactly we need to do. Problem of solving the underemployment is only the startup. That's all. So I had to rather stress on this point a number of times to the people that startup is the only solution, no other solution than the startup. But then that's what exactly we are going to talk about, the sustainability. The very first word of our GAN course, we talk about the if at all you are starting a company, whether you will be in a position to sustain it or not. And then scalability, that all aspect we are definitely going to look into. But one I would like to tell you here is that the next one interesting point is, what is this startup? Why startup? Why we are talking so much about the startup, and we are now facing a lot of problems. So you go and Google it about the startup. What is startup? N number of websites, or nowadays we have your ChatGPT friend, so it will go on talking a lot to you, and you will get confused. What is to be done? Startup means nothing but starting a company. Is it starting a company? Now what I say, starting a company is very simple. Anyone can start a company, and there are a number of companies like that. Even they call it as a suitcase company also. That means it is in the suitcase only, nothing is there. All the papers of the company is there. What is interesting here is that why all of a sudden we are talking about this startup, or why all of a sudden this word has come. It was not there earlier. Just go and see the literature before 20 years back or 10 years back. No one has written anything about a startup. But now all of a sudden everybody is talking about a startup. Is it the right thing? Are you on a right path, or just because the whole world is talking about a startup and therefore we are talking about a startup? It's like, the copy paste. We only copy something what is happening in the West. Are you going to do the same thing? That something they talk about, and all of a sudden the people start talking about computing technology is important. Somebody said that AI is important, ML is important. So we say, what is this? Oh, it is being practiced in Western side, so you must use that. AI kya hai, ML kya hai, AI kya hai. All of a sudden we are only copying the things from there without properly understanding. I think we'll have to understand the startup very, very carefully and why it is important. The whole crux is with this particular figure, to which we can really call it Industry 4.0. The Industry 4.0 is an interesting so-called the concept. And what you need to look at this particular Industry 4.0, look at the last line where it is mentioned the degree of complexity. There you will find that the degree of complexity is increasing from 1.0 to 2.0, 2.0 to 3.0, and 3.0 to 4.0. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware, is it that the Industry 1.0 was that's what is the timeline is already given. For example, 1800 to somewhere before 1800 and before 1900, that is Industry 1.0. Go and see the research papers. Go and see the literature. Do you find anywhere it is written Industry 1.0? If it is so, the thing would have been much better. Because Industry 1.0 was known to people. Then go to the period from, say, hopefully just before the 1900 and before that 1969, which is very clearly mentioned there. So between before the 1900 and 1969, they talk about Industry 2.0. Go and see the literature in that period, whether anywhere you find Industry 2.0 written. If it is there, then you are on the right path. 1.0 to 2.0, then 3.0, 4.0. So whether the 4.0 has come after 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 and 4.0? Answer is no. It was 4.0 which was considered the first. And never they thought about what is 4.0. They say that at this moment, the industrial scenario is the way you can see there through the use of cyber physical system. The computers and this cloud computing, everything was getting developed. They said that this is the future. So what was the future earlier? The earlier, if you look at the 3.0, it was all about that CNC machine and all that automation. What was the future earlier to that? It was the electrical energy and the conveyor belts and all that. That is about the mass production. What is the earlier to that? It is the steam oriented one. So they go on rather giving this name 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 and 4.0, and ultimately they say that now today is 4.0. I think you can see, go and Google it. They are even writing 5.0, 6.0, I don't know how many more zeros they are writing about. Makes no sense. What you would like to see, I had to see that how it is linked to this startup, because that is what exactly our focus is. But when you actually look at this, when you are seeing this 4.0, there is another interesting point which you had to look at. To 1.0 to 2.0 or 3.0, it was the mass production of a single product. Okay, mass production of watches, mass production of the vehicles, mass production of everything. But 4.0, they say that it is related to the cyber physical system. Means what? It is still talking about manufacturing, but manufacturing is not at one place. Manufacturing is at different places. So you know very well the industries are being operated in China or in India or some other countries, and their headquarters is somewhere in the developed countries. Okay, this is the picture, and you know we call them as multinationals. Okay, so what is this multinational? Their office is somewhere in the developed countries and the manufacturing unit is somewhere in the developing countries. Now, question is it possible? Yes, it is possible today. Because you can transmit the information anywhere, which was not the case in 1.0 or 2.0 or so. You can transmit information anywhere. Very important point here is that if that is the case, let me talk about the design of the product. Let me talk about the manufacturing of the product. Does it mean that the design of the product is done at some part of the world and manufacturing is some other part of the world and its distribution, that is what we call the marketing, all over the world? That's what exactly our global world we talk about. That's what exactly the global platform we talk about. If that is the case, I hope we'll have to look at this again. I am happy with whatever I said, but I am worried about the last one, to which we call it the degree of complexity. It is complex. Remember here, once it becomes complex, it is difficult for anybody to digest. And that is true. You know, suppose I say that there is a very good music system given to you. You can enjoy the nice so-called song in that. And if I ask you just press this button, then that button, and then this button, and then maybe some other thing to be changed here, and now you can hear it. You say, better I don't want to hear it. I think many of you must be knowing Alexa. You know, you simply say to Alexa, I want to hear the song by Lata Mangeshkar. Immediately it will start singing. That is what is actually you want. You want everything to be simple. Very simple. Oh, thank you. Right, it's working? Fine, fine. Thank you very much. Nice, okay. So, what I would like to tell you here is that this degree of complexity is problematic. And if it is become complex, what is the use of the fourth industrial revolution? Why we should enter into the fourth industrial revolution? If it is a complex. Now remember here, it may be complex from the point of view of operation, but it is very simple if from the product development point of view. That is the way what you see here 1, 2, 3. It is the fourth one where, again give me that. Now here, what I said, it's a complex. Developing this is complex. Okay, but it is possible in fourth one, 4.0. That means the complex means it is fitting to the customer. It is giving comfort to the customer. If that is the case, then you are on the right path, and that is possible in Industry 4.0. Okay, so if you look at the various so-called different fields which are used in Industry 4.0, these are all the things I hope many of you must be aware of. But one of the area where we feel that it will be quite interesting to look at is additive manufacturing. That means they call it as the 3D printing. Okay, so we are going to just look at it quickly, not very in detail, because that is nothing with the more and more towards our theme. But what is important here is that all these things use the product which is customer friendly. Customer enjoys that, and that is what we do want. So degree of complexity is more, but customer is enjoying, and that is what exactly the startup is. What is startup? Some innovation that comes in my mind, and ultimately it is possible to achieve. Then only the thing will move. Okay, you know, I don't know how you might not be knowing at all. Hopefully, there used to be the Bajaj scooters earlier, and then these Bajaj scooters were very horrible. And never it used to start. So people used to just tilt it this way, that way, and then they used to say that okay, it is now starting. The people used to enjoy. You know, people used to distribute the peras in the town, saying that I got an allocation letter of a Bajaj scooter. Forget about the delivery of the product is still to happen, but they used to mujhe mil gaya like that. But afterwards, what they used to do, they starting problem, this problem. No one has solved their problem. And it remained as it is. But now later on, what you will find out, the new products are coming up in the field, and you will see that they are very simple. Just with the one press on the button, you can start the engine. So what is interesting there? Some innovation. So innovation is the key, and innovation is possible only with the Industry 4.0, because you have all these things with you. These are all the things which will help you in innovation. Whether you talk about a simulation, system integration, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, cloud computing, this is going to help you. Look here, your big data. Big data is important from artificial intelligence point of view, from the machine learning point of view. If you don't have the reliable data, you can't think of AI. What is AI? AI is nothing but decision support system or decision making system, which helps you to take the decisions. So all this is possible, and they all are used via augmented reality, mixed reality, all these things comes into the mind. Now let us enter into the product development now, because ultimately our focus has to be in the startup. So in this startup, when you are actually entering into this domain, you will find that there are the different so-called the steps. We talk about the concept, we talk about the engineering, we talk about the entrepreneurship, we talk about the customer. Now here, everywhere you will find a valley, ravine, deep canyon and all that. Now, you know, we are quite smart in the concept. Oh, sorry. We are quite smart in the concept. Some concept in my mind, maybe you may say that it is something which you feel will make your life more easy. You may say that I am sitting in the class and the class is over now and I want to go home. So automatically I will simply close my eyes and I will be at home. That's all. So no commutation at all. So that's how exactly concept anything which you feel like that. But remember here, I would like to show you an interesting thing here in my book. I have shown these particular things to many people. If you look at this particular book, there you can see there is a so-called ambulance flying. Okay, and this ambulance flying is for what? It is for the traffic jam. Okay, you know, think about a traffic jam, and in the traffic jams you yourself are getting bored. But if ambulance get jammed, what are you going to do? Are you going to lift that one and then say that okay, go forward and all that? Very difficult. It happens every day. I think you can see it also. You must have experienced it also. But then what happens if I can develop an ambulance which will simply fly, overcome the traffic jam portion, and again start flying? I'm not talking about an air ambulance. I'm talking about this type of a concept, new concept. And how this concept is to be built, we are definitely going to see in one of my lecture also. Then how to build that concept, this is important. Because if you build the concept here, then after developing concept, you will have to enter into the engineering of that, means getting it fabricated, getting it developed. Then you have to see that some company should be in a position to rather manufacture it, and finally it is the customer. Now look at this table again, or look at this particular slide again. You will find that this is problematic, especially this one, and this is a deep canyon. Now here, what is interesting that I have hopefully work in that direction. But if no company is ready to manufacture that, if no company is ready to take it to the market, we will be in a problem. Okay, I have a very good concept, I have developed it properly, but nobody is ready to take that into the market, then you are the loser. And then last one is a customer. If customer is not satisfied with your product, then you are the loser. So both the things are important. What is important? We should have a company to manufacture my product, and at the same time my product should be liked by the customer. What exactly we are going to do? So you don't go on finding out the company and just convincing them that please do it. They are very bad. Nobody is going to help you. Here I think the startup work comes into the picture. I have developed the concept. I have taken a lot of efforts in getting that concept developed. I have think about this development, to which we call as an engineering, and I want to now get a company who will earn profit based on that. Why then I am not earning the profit? Why should not I enter into the system where who stops us? So that is exactly the case. That if you look at this particular thing again, you will find that if you can start your own company, hopefully this will be not so deep. The ravine will not be deep. And top of it, the customer should like the product. Again, remember here that if you want the customer to like your product, you have to first look at the concept. Right from the concept, you will have to develop the product in such a way that you will always take customer in your loop. Right from the first thing. So for example, ambulance, flying ambulance you would like to develop. So you would like to first call doctor. You will call the ambulance driver. What is your problem? I am going to solve it like this. So he will help you in developing the product perfectly, and therefore what is interesting here is that if at all we are talking about the startup or developing a product in your own company, don't forget the customer. Customer should come here right from the first step. Without customer you can't do anything. That is number one. So interesting point here as a tip of a message for all of you, that if at all you want to enter into the startup, and if you want to talk about the sustainability and rather the scalability later on, but if at all you want to talk about the sustainability of the product or the startup, first see the customer has made your product okay. Customer is happy with whatever you are doing. Every time it is the customer who will take care. In our medical devices innovation project, we always used to take the doctor into the confidence. We used to talk to the doctors every time. We used to ask them, this is what I am doing, this is what I am doing. Based on your problem and all that. I'll tell you some stories there very nicely. But what is important here is that if you don't talk to the customer and if you enter it at the end, you are bound to fail. So for the sustainability, the key issue is that start your own company. Okay, we are going to look into that in much more detail. And see that the customer is always satisfied. That means he is always with you. Now, interesting point. I'm going to start a company because I'm interested in my product. So, I said to you that customer should be in the loop. So, that's what exactly one of the interesting point everyone has to remember. To start a company, they always say that there should be two directors. You can't start one company on your own. They may say that तुम्हारा दूसरा आदमी बताओ कौन है. You can't start your own company on your own. So the second one should be not your relatives and all that. He should be the customer. He is handling the customer base properly. He is aware of the customer field. And if you can have that, your startup is bound to sustain. Go and see the profile of the directors. You will find that most of the time the directors are myself and my wife. Maybe myself and somebody, my brother, like that. Makes no sense. That means you are not properly thought over it. Let the other director will be the customer. Or rather, who is having the strong hold on the customer base. Maybe he is expert in what is called the marketing field for the last so many years. Catch it and say that we will be together. Okay, maybe the equity sharing and everything, whatever it is, that's a different issue. At this moment, we don't want to discuss it further. But takeaway message is, your other director has to be the person who has a strong hold on the customer. You may say that, why should I do that? I alone will do it. If at all that is the case, I can learn everything. Customer mein kya dikhana hai, learn. Again going wrong. You are the person who has developed. You are the person who is looking at the concept. You are the person who are looking at the engineering. And now you say that I am also going to handle the customer base and everything. Or maybe just passive partner somewhere in your startup and say that, okay, I am going to handle everything. Big no. Because the customer means what? Customer will always demand more and more from you. And if he demands more and more from you, you are the person, as a person who has developed the product, who has entered into the concept and the so-called engineering, he has to take care. You can't again go back to the see our customer kya bol raha, customer kya bol raha. It should automatically come to you, and therefore there has to be the two directors like this. I hope the thing is quite clear to all of you in sustainability. That one is taking care of customer and engineering, and another one is taking only the concept and engineering, other is taking only the so-called customer base, and finally your startup is sustained. It's bound to happen. And see, what is the major responsibility on our shoulder? What is the responsibility on our shoulder at this moment? The major responsibility is that if I am entering into the so-called startup system, it should not fail. Because if it fails, then what will happen? I will create a negative system. The people will start pointing at me, saying that, see, the Professor Kuthe's startup has failed. This is that when startup has failed. That's how the people will not enter into this. This is not a so simple idea. This is not a very simple thing to handle. Okay, and therefore I will see that it is possible for me to see that the startup is okay. So I think this is interesting, and we'll have to think over it. Maybe we have to discuss on this very. Now coming back to the next TRL. This technology readiness level, as already we were discussing when Abhay was raised the query, they talk about the technology readiness level. And you know, if you look at this technology readiness level, the generally they talk about 1 to 9. Okay, and it is mentioned like 1 is like something called research, 2, 4 to 5, 6 is develop, 7 to 8 and 9 is deploy and all that. Very subjective in nature. Very difficult to understand. Very if somebody can tell me that yeah, my product is in TRL 5, there is nothing objective in that. He decided on his own, just like you know, you give how was the lecture on a scale of 5. So you give some scale 3, हाँ ठीक है 4 दे देंगे, 2 दे देंगे, 3 दे देंगे, something of that nature. Feedback में होता है ऐसा. ज्ञान program feedback is like that. That's why we have taken a separate feedback. Out of 5, how much you give? Go 4, 5, 3. Many times the people used to come when we used to take the feedback of the student after the end of their examination. So they were coming down from on the stairs, giving the last paper. You said feedback do. Sir, the tick kar do, kuch bhi tick kar do. So I had to catch a train. This is how, because there is no clear-cut indication what is to be done. Exactly the same thing is TRL also. No one has defined what is TRL1, TRL2, TRL9 and all that. Simply something which has been developed by the NASA. We follow it and then we say that okay, this is what is to be followed. Now you go and Google it. Nowadays your ChatGPT is there. Go and find out what is TRL1, TRL9. ChatGPT will never leave you. He will say TRL1 is like this. Would you like something more in that? He will say yes, I want more and more. And enough. I don't want enough now. This is because that is all subjective in nature. So then do we follow that? Should we follow that? Because I am now running a company and I want that to be sustained. So if at all this is not clear to me, what is the point in unnecessarily entering into this TRL level? And you know, it is okay if at all the lecture is to be delivered and all that, or maybe if you want to show to some people that you are very educated, you may say that yes, my product is TRL 5, my TRL 6, 8, 9. No, I asked specifically the question to the Ashutosh. What happens in TRL 7, 8, 9? That means it is very clear. Looking at the 1 to 9 scale, 1 is the initial phase, 9 is the final stage. Final stage means what? That product is in the market. And tell me whether your product is in market or not. And if it is in market, that means the startup is now starting producing the product, and then whether it is sellable or not. If it is sellable, then you are scaling it now. So ultimately, what is important? I have asked him specifically, tell me about 7 and 9. Don't tell me about the 1 or 2 or 3, because that is the starting point. It makes no sense. So how exactly we are going to digest this? Professor Hakan is coming and he will tell you, hopefully, I don't know. But the TRL level is separately designed by the KTH Innovation Center. They say that no, not this 1 to 9. They have their own way of designing the TRL level. If I have some documents on that, I will give it to you. Or maybe I think in Google can give, no, ChatGPT can give everything. So they have separately designed. They say that no, this is what is the TRL level. So don't be under the wrong impression that TRL level, if at all, is properly not clear. That means you are not properly aware of the startup system. Big no, big no. There is nothing like that. But let us look at it from a subjective nature, or the way this is indicated here. Something what they talk about is the research. Means what? Again, coming back to our so-called flying ambulance example. That is a concept. I am just thinking about that there will be a flying ambulance which will overcome the crowd. So this particular crowd, the traffic which is jammed, and again it is coming down. So some concept, and therefore, if you look at these particular things, I would like to show you that there is a kangaroo shown here. Okay. Now this kangaroo is the concept, like how the kangaroo moves, from one location to another. It lives. It never walks. We'll say that, is it okay if I develop a ambulance wherein it will only leap then whenever there is a crowded or a traffic jam, and it will overcome that, and again it will start as a regular ambulance there. So this is a concept. So it is very clear to all of you. And here, should I say that then I am in the maybe stage 1 or stage 2? Because I am just thinking about the product. That's great. You may say, yes, nice. You may say then what type of concept it will be. Let us understand the kangaroo leaping properly. Let us understand the traffic jam operation properly. How the traffic jam is problematic in many cities and all that. Whatever you do, it is all under the research, to which they generally call it as a conceptualization. Only concept. No further discussion. Concept. Does it mean that the concept can be anything? Yes, anything. Whatever comes to your mind. So 1 to 4 is concept. That's all. Don't worry about the concept is framed by a very educated person or concept is framed by a low educated person. Doesn't matter. Anybody can talk anything about that. So 1 to 4, it is your domain. But ultimately, the next one, which is really very interesting, is 4, 5, 6. What they say? Develop. That means what? You will have to show that whatever the concept is in your mind, whether it is operative, or whether it is operating or not, whether it is feasible or not. So maybe I can think of like it is leaping like a kangaroo and it will be over. So I'll have to develop the whole infrastructure, I have to develop the whole engineering concept into it and show to the market that yes, it is possible to leap it when there is a hurdle. So it requires a lot of engineering, it requires a lot of product development, it requires a lot of analysis, everything is required. And in such scenario, we generally say that it is the development stage. Again, no proper like 4, 5, 6 is whether it is in 4 or 5 or 6 and all. You say okay, anything. But I have concept is clear to me, and ultimately I am developing a product. I am developing a prototype. That's what they generally talk about, the working prototype. All these things comes into the mind. Now remember here, when you are reaching up to the 6, you want now the last one about which I have to ask Ashutosh, 7, 8, 9. That means now you are entering into the market with your product. So when you are entering into the market in 7, 8, 9, then you have to be more careful that it should not fail now. So I have to take some care in the 1 to 6. No clear definition. What is 4, what is 5, what is 6. But 4, 5, 6 is clear. 1, 2, 3, 4 is clear. But 7 and 9 is deployment or actually in the market. So what care we have to take? We have to take care here in number 1, 2, 3. Yahan pe care lana. We have to take care here. Care is that, which I told you by showing that particular slide, taking the customer into the loop. Like, have you talked to customer any time while developing your concept or this? You may say that, okay, kangaroo type of concept you are using. So, and then you will be developing such type of the instrumentation in a system so that it will be possible to get it executed. And if you talk, you find that the cost is very high. Nobody is going to purchase your product. So, I don't know how many of you are aware, but you know how the tractor is manufactured? Tractor manufacturing. Remember there, the tractor manufacturing is possible only the person who enters into this tractor manufacturing, he talks to the bank person first. How many amount of money you can give as a loan to the peasant or to the agriculture person, one who is working in an agricultural field? They say that we can give maximum in this area 4 lakhs, 3 lakhs. So that you manufacture the tractor up to the 4 lakhs, up to the 3 lakhs, because that is only sellable. That means whom we have taken into consideration? The customer. So if you forget the customer, in this first 1, 2, 3, you are bound to fall in 7, 8, 9. Bound to fail. Even if you say that my market is ready now, they say no, it's not going to work. So again in the startup, remember here, though we talk about a TRL level, but we would like to always look at it from a subjective point of view. Objectivity is only here. Like concept, to research, that means research, develop and then deploy. That's all. So don't be under the wrong impression that you are not in a position to say, if at all you want to talk to somebody, what type of a TRL level? They'll say, I don't know. I think maybe 5, 6, hopefully 4, because that is what I can talk about. But I cannot say that it is 4 or 5 or 6. Many times it happens that whenever the people applies for the grant for the startup, they say that it is for the grant 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5. Don't worry. You should only see that whether your 4, 5, 6 is fitting to your concept of deployment or the research or that. But 7, 8, 9 is very tough, because now you are entering into the market, and therefore you will have to be very, very careful. Now let us see what exactly we should do as a person who would like to start a company. The first one is that when you are entering into the research, you will have to enter into the educational institute. Without that you cannot do research. Okay, even for the concept, I am talking from the concept point of view. Like what type of concept? I told you about that kangaroo concept. It has actually come from the bionics, which has been taught in the education institute as one of the technique. We are going to see that trees technique also, or should I, one lecture I am going to deliver on that only, how to develop a concept logically. We are going to have even tutorial also on that. If you develop your concept logically correct, everybody will appreciate that. Again, everybody means whom we are talking about when you talk about everybody. Everybody means it is the angels and the venture capitalists, because ultimately they are the people who are going to help you in finance. So that is number one. And how you are going to create the finance other than the finance angels and the venture capitalists? I am a person coming from a very simple family, is not having any money, and I want to start my own company. That's what exactly we are targeting. If I would have been the son of an Ambani, I would not have to think about that, or maybe Tata or so. But then I am coming from a simple family, and I am going to talk about the finance. So first thing, what I would like to see, that I am going to look at the venture capitalists and angels. What is the other way by which I am going to earn the money? Any other methodology? Don't say about the grants. I told you, hopefully in that also. Don't talk about the grants more and more. More and more grants you talk, you are bound to fail. Because it's like a crutches. You have been given a crutches, and you say that, okay, mere paas ye grant hai, mere paas ye grant, and all of a sudden your crutches will fail. And then you will face the problem. What else? What else should be my target in startup, so that ultimately the money gets generated? It is the sale of the product. That means enter the market as early as possible. Don't wait. Say that, okay, I'll see, I'm still in the TRL 5, TRL 6, etc. Enter the market as soon as you can. Let the market call bad names to your product, saying that this is very bad. And unnecessarily, otherwise, spending more time on TRL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you will be the loser in the long run. Because the other product is bound to come in the market, which will compete with your product, and you will be again required to go back to your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you will be in that loop. And therefore, many people, they say that the most of the people, they don't become entrepreneur, they become wantrepreneur. I want to start my company, wantrepreneur, and never they will start. So don't be under that. If let me entrepreneur, my market is there, fail, doesn't matter why it has failed. Now that is actually a right mentorship for you, and you will then again change that very fast, because it is from the market that you got a feedback, not from your own mind. So ultimately, what I would like to tell you here is that you will have to start from our institute, higher education institute, where from the concept will come. That means you will have, as an educated person, I'm just talking, showing you VNIT, that means any education institute. Then 4, 5, 6 is development. So the development will be possible only with the centers where the research-oriented work is being done. So like our CAD/CAM center, there you can think of developing that particular part. We had a very nice project called Smart Foundry. Now you can talk to Gunnar, he will tell you about that. He has shown the feasibility. We have a concept called 25 by 25 by 25, 25 cube. What is 25 cube? We say that a 25 years engineer or any person having 25 lakhs and 25 meters square area should be in a position to show the feasibility of the innovative product. And if you can show that, the angels and angel capitalists will get attracted, and if they can help you in that, start selling the product in the market. See what is the feedback of the market, and finally see that you can improve it. So all these things we have already floated. You can go through that. We are going to visit soon. But that is what exactly the case. I'm just showing you CAD/CAM center. That doesn't mean that the CAD/CAM center is only for development. Anywhere where you can show the feasibility. Okay. Then the next is deployment. That means an industry, your startup, your company. So your company is bound to succeed. Bound to succeed. Because you have taken care in conceptualization, you have taken in development, you have taken the views of the venture capitalists, you have taken the view of the angels, you have taken the customer in your view. You are on the right path. I'm going to show you some success stories later on also. But this is very interesting and you'll have to do it. So I hope the TRL scale hopefully is quite clear to you. Don't be under the wrong impression that you have not understood 3 और 4 में क्या difference है, 5-6 में क्या है, उसके बारे में हम unnecessarily discuss कर रहे हैं. You are on the wrong foot. There is nothing like that. एकदम clear cut मार्ग में कुछ भी नहीं है. Okay. And I am telling you from the, because you go Google it, और मैंने बताया आपको, you chat GPT वगैरह में बताएगा 4 में ऐसा है, 5 में ऐसा है, then you go thinking about user तो उसने ऐसा बोला था इधर ऐसा, wasting your time, makes no sense. Here, think it in that direction. Okay. Next, interesting point is, what is this smile curve? This is interesting. Remember here, this smile curve, I think you must be using it a number of times in your WhatsApp. Smiley, is it not? You send a smiley to everybody. Okay. You are sending smiley, that means good. So what I would like to tell you, exactly the same smile curve has been designed by this particular stand sheet. Here, now this is very interesting. Though still it is not very perfectly valid, but he has given a right, so-called, actually created a right thought processes. What is it? That if you look at the, again the same thing, the way which you people have already looked at, say TRL 129. It is TRL 129. What they talk about? The conceptualization, branding, R&D, design. Yes, that is what we have said in TRL 124. Then what you said? Manufacturing. That means 4, 5, 6 hopefully deployment. And then you say that distribution, marketing, sales after service. So this is nothing but 7 and 9. Because ultimately you have to sell the product. I told you. If you don't sell the product, there is no point in discussing. So now the same thing, but now if you look at this curve very carefully, you will find that it is the value addition with the production change. That means the time. So now see the, as time elapses, okay, we are in TRL also, I said the same thing to you. TRL 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 9 you are going. So this time is elapsed, this time is getting elapsed like this. So your TRL is not going in the same way as per the value addition. Manufacturing is a dolorous level, which is dangerous. That means if I am at the conceptualization stage, R&D stage, or the so-called branding or working only on the TRL 1, 2, 3, it will add more value to the product. If I am in the manufacturing of that product, then I am not adding any value. I am just showing the feasibility of the manufacturing. That's all. That means nothing is newly incorporated. It is whatever has been the concept design or whatever the design has actually indicated. I am just copying it on the hardware. That's all. So you are not adding anything to that. So value addition is almost zero. And then if at all you are in a position to see that your distribution, marketing, everything is well taken care, hopefully value added is more. I have given you one example during the discussion with Ashutosh. One of the person who has developed a wonderful product, started his company, failed only in this marketing, distribution and sales. He failed in that. Every concept was very nice, everything was nice, only failed there. So why? It is because he has not taken care of looking at that point when he was developing the concept, when he was manufacturing. And hopefully he was focusing more on the manufacturing only, which is not leading to any value addition. It is simply copying the design. I hope you are getting my point. It is only copying the design. How you can say that I'm having a best manufacturing facility, if at all it is said? Then we may say, okay, great, you are successful startup. No. You may say that a good manufacturing practice, perfect manufacturing, everything I am talking about. You are not on the right path. Remember. You may say that otherwise, see, there would have been, then there are a lot of defects if the manufacturing is not there. I told, hopefully, I'm teaching this in manufacturing science to secondary students, the casting process. And I always used to tell the students that last part of the chapter is casting defects. Okay, the students take a lot of interest in casting defects because there is a sure shot question in that question in the examination. Casting defects of I said, you are doing wrong thing. You are learning a manufacturing science. Everything has been very well, it's having a strong base of the science in your manufacturing, and then you are talking about defects. That means you are not properly following anything. Why there are defects when your manufacturing base is strong, your science is strong, then why you are talking about the defects? Same thing is true in manufacturing. The many people, they take pride in saying that our manufacturing facility is the best. We are having defect-free product and all that. Okay, that's fine. But your concept, are you changing the concept properly? Are you taking care of your concept in this smile curve? If you don't take it, then finally what will happen? Many industries you will find out. You know that there is a Kodak film of it has failed miserably. Why? Because they have never looked into the concept of digital photos. Failed just because they have not looked into the concept at all, which is actually the need of an hour. Manufacturing the best. Even today you can see that the film that they used to make are fantastic, but fail. Why? Because you are not ever going to the concept type. So hopefully what I would like to tell you here is that this smile curve is important. Don't unnecessarily enter into the domain of manufacturing with that intention that you are having the best manufacturing practices. That means your startup is successful. And that is what everybody looks at. This is what is the common mistake everywhere. Why these startups are failing? Because this is our best manufacturing facility is going to have. But who is the designer in your case? Just ask them. Who is the person who is looking at a newer and newer concept? Who is actually, what is the success of the industries to which we call it the industries from the developed countries? Most of them are successful, multinationals. You say that they are very successful. What is the key of that? The key is simple. Whatever the profit they earn, 25% of the profit they actually dedicate to the R&D. That means the conceptualization. They go on developing the concept again and again. So it's like that they say that competing with your own product if the product is successful. Just like your, the Olympics swimmer, if he wins the so-called gold medal in Olympics, do you find him again appearing in the same Olympic? Many times you find that. What he is doing? He has already broke the record. He has actually set the record. He will say, I'll break my own record now. And I will be the, exactly you will have to do it in the same manner. If nobody is giving you the information about your product, everybody is satisfied, that means you have to compete with your own product. And see that, again go back to the concept. So we are going to see how the concept is to be framed. Because I will be really happy. I'm seeing young people here in this particular GAN course. So if they are aware of all these things, at least they can talk to their parents, saying that this is what we have learned. And they may say, and I'm going to start my company. They say, okay, great, something you have learned. Hopefully they will say like that, okay to that. Otherwise, I told you, just start the company shuru karna. Ja bhai padhai kar, baaki chhod de, kuch kaam nahi hai. Now you tell them that this is a concept I learned, something like these trees or the bionics, and this is how the smile curve is, TRL level and all that. Should I start my company? Dekho bhai, socho. So see the change in their attitude. And we need the help from everybody. It's not that I'm going. So you have to do it. And see, seems to be very simple. But we'll have to think a lot from the point of view of the starter. And remember here, the GAN course title itself is complicated. The first thing is sustainability. My startup should be ready to get the profit. And then I have to scale it. It is not the only one Startup, I am starting. Scaled, it means what? Going back to the concept again. And therefore, conceptualization has to be learned properly. And thinking about manufacturing, okay, I am doing it. That's all. Because value addition is less there. Okay. So what I would like to tell you here is that these are all the things that we need to look into. One of the nice thing, I hope I'm taking more time of it. No, I'm okay. There's no time. So next thing is 3D printing. I hope many of you are aware of that. We can show the 3D printing. I think Nagnath can show the 3D printing there. A lot of work, especially in medical domain. That is a, you may say that it is a boon in medical domain. I'm going to tell you about that quickly when we'll go to CAD/CAM Center, that how exactly we have started and how we actually proceeded further. Simple one, we say that it is the nothing but converting the CAD file into the physical model with minimum human intervention and minimum tool. Everything is available nowadays with the net. You can learn more and more things on your own from this, but this is an important so-called process. I should call it as a tool. With this only the conceptualization is possible. With this only the medical devices is properly possible to develop. The startup in medical devices is only possible because of this. That does mean that if at all any medical device company is there, then naturally you will have to first ask them, are you using 3D printing anywhere? If they say yes, that means it's the right company. They are taking actually, or they are focusing on a conceptualization. So how exactly it is to be done, we will see quickly in that. But again, our focus is more towards the startup. The next interesting thing is, I think this is a very tough figure, very difficult, and we are rather scared to see that. I have to lift a very heavy weight, and that weight is having at one end the made in India, and another one is the quality, premium quality and all that, which will match with the global standard. So think of that you are starting a company which stands the global competition. Very tough. Therefore, Atmanirbhar Bharat, whatever it is, very easy for us to say, but very difficult to execute. Because the world has already reached to that level. Maybe quickly I would like to tell you, time bahut jata hai, I don't know. But 2047 they say that we will be Vikasit Bharat, developed country. Now, I would like to ask you this question, very simple question, that 2047 you would like to be the developed country. Okay. So what is the developed country? So you will look at the developed country today. You may say that, oh, Sweden is very good country because we are closely associated with that. Sweden is a developed country. So how is the developed country Sweden? Oh, we have to be like Sweden. Oh, we have to be like USA. Is it not? That's what you would like to say? You are wrong. You say in 2047 you will be the developed country. So look at that, what will be the status of that developed country in 2047? They will not remain the one which is seen today. They will be having something different. So are you competing with that? If not, then what is the point in doing so? Then 2047, oh, we are developed just like 2025 the Sweden was. Makes no sense. You have to compete with them. And if that is the case, it is not what they say that the baby step, but it has to be leapfrog. We'll have to work hard. And then again, work hard doesn't mean again lifting the like this, but we need to be properly maintained. It's okay. Okay, fine. So that's interesting. So the last thing is conclusion, which is a Bhairavi Rag again, and enough of it. I think I had to get more than the time allocated to me. Hopefully, I think Bhupesh, tea and everything is ready. No, then fine. At least I have before saying the conclusion. I said, conclusion is simple. You talk about research, you talk about deployment, everything. So if you look at this particular figure, I have already shown it to many people. Dr. Chittaranjan Ranawat, he was the chief orthopedic surgeon in knee surgery, wherein you will find that he has operated A.B. Vajpayee, then PM, and you know he used to have a 25,000 citation, a wonderful researcher also, practitioner with researcher, and he used to fight with the doctors in US. He's born Indian. That okay, don't talk about all these things. Look at my paper, what I have written. That means he used to always cite the technical literature which he has written. which he has produced, which he has published. So it's like the other fellow will get frightened. Then look at my paper, what I have written. This is already accepted in the community. So he is a person of that nature. Very nice. And that's what we talk about the research. Research is done wherein he is taking the help of the research to get his practice very, very thoroughly done. Now, look at another fellow. He is a Robert Langer. He is a MIT professor having a more than 1,000 patents and has founded 20 startups. So, he is almost a person working in tissue engineering. So, look at this one, 2011. This is the scenario. And 2024, the scenario is like this. So, what exactly we have to get the so-called takeaway message from that? The takeaway message is that the research and deployment should be together. Only talking research makes no sense. See that the product is there based on the research. That's the deployment. And hopefully that's a long round. Last slide. I hope the thanks word is not seen. Is not there. Thanks. Oh, it's there. Thanks. So that's. Thank you very much for listening. But let me use the board. I think no one has used this board. A simple one thing I would like to ask a simple question. Can you just give me yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you. So if I ask you this question, that who is the strongest animal? I'm sorry, my handwriting is very poor because of the use of computer. Animal in the jungle. In the jungle, I'm not talking about the sea or. If I ask you the question, then you may say either tiger. Okay? Maybe somebody will say tiger. If I say that it is elephant, you may say okay. I'm just giving the alternative. Number 3, somebody will say lion. Okay. Any other things you would like to add? Maybe alternative. We are not answering the question, but we are framing the question now. So what will be the fourth you would like to say? Huh? Crow. Crow is not an animal. Crow is a bird. We are talking about animal. Animal. Fox. You know the fox standing in front of a tiger? Whether the tiger will afraid of that. Oh, fox is there. I'm afraid of that. Is it like that? Have you seen that this type of a thing? YouTube पे जाके देखो. ऐसा कि fox आ रहा है सामने और tiger पीछे पीछे. If you see that, then I can write down that as a fourth element. We are framing the question, frame कर रहे हैं आप. तो क्या होता है जैसे मैंने fox लिखा ना सब लोग cross कर देंगे ये तो fox है ही नहीं. That is how the objective question is to be solved. पहले जो नहीं है वो पहले निकाल दो. अब ये अमिताभ बच्चन का क्या था कौन बनेगा करोड़पति 50-50 ये उड़ा दिया चलो अब 50 रह गया. That's how the people used to talk about. So anything you would like to add? Huh? Okay, woman is a dangerous animal all over the world. But any other you would like to add? You are framing the question, remember, and then answering will be very simple because everybody knows the answer. तो ये तीन ही रहने देंगे alternative. Fourth none of the above करूँ. If you say like that, then all these three are wrong. Neither tiger, neither elephant, neither wild. The strongest animal is the wild dog. And I will write down here dogs. Is the strongest because they always move in a group. It's a group of the wild dogs. They call it as a wild dogs group. Even tiger is afraid of them. As soon as he sees a lot of wild dogs coming, they say, oh, wild dogs are coming. He will take some other path. Because they move in a group. So ultimately, if you want to be the strongest, you have to operate in a team. Otherwise not. Team will only help you. If you are creating a company, startup, with 2 directors, maybe 3 directors, maybe 4 directors, I think you are on the right path. How many more it depends. But You may say that, okay, I am the director and my wife is there because they need two directors, therefore I just ask her, इसमें signature कर देना, इसलिए उसने signature कर दिया, हो गया, done, my company is there. Wrong. You are only talking about a tiger, elephant or Bhupir lion. But you know, when you work in a team, you are bound to succeed. Bound to succeed. And again, I will tell you in many other lectures that how exactly the team is to be formed. Is not that just forming a team for the sake of forming the team. That will never get sustained. But important, I hope this is the right answer. And you can see now, you may, how do you verify this is the right answer? ये right answer है कि नहीं, कैसे verify करेंगे आप? सब तुमने बोल दिया, कर दिया. Go and ask your ChatGPT. Go and, you have a number of sources now. Go and check in the Google. Just ask whether the wild dogs are stronger than, or whether the tiger is afraid of these wild dogs. Answer will be 100% yes. If it is not yes, tomorrow tell me. I will offer one more coffee to these people. Okay. If it is not that, it's there. They are afraid of everything. Wild dogs move in a group. If it is a single, then no, they never move in single. Never will find a wild dog going in alone. They are always in a group and they attack anyone. So, very good. We have to learn from nature. We have to work in a team. And that's how the thing is. So I think thanks is already there. So thank you for your patience hearing. And we'll now go to the